And now we're going to talk about how to find the equation of a line if you're given the slope and 1 point. Determine if the equation for each in y equals mx plus b form. This is our big formula here that you have to memorize. We've got a line with a slope of 2 and it passes through the point 4, 3. Okay, what clues can we use from that to put in here? Well, the most obvious one is we're given the slope of 2, and which letter represents slope here? M. So I'm going to be able to put a 2 in there, but I'm not given the y-intercept. The b value is the y-intercept, and I don't know what that is, and I don't have a graph to look at, and I can just look at it and see the y-intercept. So I'm going to have to figure out the y-intercept here. How do I do that? All right, let's start with what we know. We know y equals 2x plus b. So all we've got is the 2. But we also have a coordinate. So all coordinates are written in the form x, y. The first number is an x, the second number is a y. So let's sub them into our equation here. The 3 is our y. So in for y, I'm going to put a 3. And then we've got equals 2. And in for x, x is a 4. So I'm going to multiply that by a 4 and then plus b. So all I've done is substituted my coordinate in there. Let's see where that gets us. That gets me 3 equals 8 plus b. I'm trying to isolate b, so of course I've got to subtract 8 from both sides so that I can isolate b. 3 minus 8 is negative 5, and these made a 0, so they're gone, equals a positive b or just b. So now I know the equation of a line. And remember, when you write the equation of the line in y equals mx plus b form, the y and the x stay y and x, but the m and the b are replaced with the numbers. So the equation of the line we have here is y equals our m. What's our m? Do you remember what that is? That was right up here. We got that right at the beginning. That was 2x and our b minus 5. So there's the equation of the first line. Slope is 2 and the y-intercept is a negative 5. So we could graph it also if we needed to, but the question's not asking us that. Now we'll do one more, and that's it. A line, I would say, that's supposed to say a line that is parallel. So let me just fix that. A line that is parallel to y equals negative 1/4 x plus 4 and passing through this point. This one's a little harder than the one we did before. The one we did before tells very clearly what the slope was. I don't really know, it's not being really clear what the slope is, but if it's parallel, remember that when lines are parallel lines have the same slope. Parallel lines have equal slopes. Equal slopes. So that means the slope of my line is, what's the slope of the line? Well, if it's parallel to this one, what's the slope of that line? This number is the slope. That's your m. So if it's parallel to that line, then the slope of the line I need to find also has a slope of negative 1/4. Now it's parallel to that line, it's not the same, so I'm not going to use this piece at all. All I know is that the line I need to find is parallel to this one here. So it's got the same slope. It does not have the same y-intercept, not the same b value. So what I have is a line that has y equals, and my m is negative 1/4 x plus, and I don't know b, just like over here. I knew the slope, but I didn't know the b value. That's the same problem I have here. So how am I going to get the b value? Well, I want you to think about what I just did in the previous example. How did we get the b value here? What did we do to get the b value here? What are these things here? We subbed in this point. So I'm going to sub those in. Remember, the first number is an x and the second number is a y. So negative 1 goes here. Negative 1 equals negative 1/4. And instead of x, I've got a 2 plus b. So that's negative 1 equals, this is a 2 over an invisible 1. There's an invisible 1. So the way you multiply fractions, you multiply straight across the top and I'm going to take the negative with that. So negative 1 times 2 straight across the top, that's a negative 2. Straight across the bottom, 4 times 1, I'm multiplying those two numbers together, is a 4. And then there's my plus b. So negative 2 over 4 I can reduce because they're both divisible by 2. They're both even numbers, so I'm going to divide top and bottom by 2. And I get negative 1 equals negative 1/2 plus b. Now to isolate b, I've got to get rid of that 1/2, so I'm going to have to add a half to both sides. Add half. It's a little tricky here with the negatives and the fractions. These turn into 0, so I'm left with a b there. What's negative 1 plus 1/2? You can use your calculator if you need to, but just try to visualize it. Negative 1 and then add a half on. You're left with negative a half. Negative a half equals b. Now I can write my equation in this form here. My equation is y equals, so what goes in for m? M is a quarter, negative a quarter. X stays x, and then instead of b, I have minus 1/2. So there are two examples on how to find the equation of a line when you're only given a slope and 1 point. But sometimes you need to think about that slope right here. With this parallel, we had to do a little bit of thinking there, but we were given the slope. We were given a slope and we were given a point.